I'm very sorry about this, but we're going to have to adjourn the meeting for a little bit longer. And I do apologise to everyone for this. The reason that we need to adjourn it for a bit longer is so that the issues. I mean, this is unusual. We've pushed back. Staff have gone back. They've looked for further savings to be found within the budget, literally overnight. We've considered them briefly this morning, and now they need to be formulated into proper resolutions that we can legally debate in the chamber. So we do need to give them just a little bit more time to formulate them as a resolution that can be moved and seconded, and then we have the capacity to debate them. We could suspend standing orders and start the debate on some of the issues if people wanted to, on some of the amendments that councillors have proposed, if that would be useful, with the idea that we don't come back and debate those issues later on. And that might be a useful use of our time. We have the legal power to suspend standing orders if that would be useful. I'm getting nods of agreement from various councillors around the table. And so perhaps there are a number of resolutions. For example, Councillor Chen has an amendment on the Awatea route upgrade, and he might like to debate that. Jani Johansson has an amendment on the Metro Sports Facility being deferred funding for 2 years. That might be an issue. The library opening hours remaining as currently opening, that might be an issue that we could debate now. I'm getting general nods. So I'll move that we suspend standing orders in order to debate some of the individual items that councillors have moved for amendment on the annual plan. Do I have a seconder for that course of action? Glenn Livingston. I'll put the motion. All those in favour say aye. Those opposed say no. Carried. Suspending orders are suspended, and I invite Councillor Chen to address his amendment that the Awatea route upgrade be restored to its original time frame. Councillor Chen.
Thank you, Mayor. It's not a debate.
Yes, it is a debate.
Oh, yes. Yeah, I like to bring forward $699,000 of the Awatea route upgrade from the 2015-16 to 2014-15 to enable this project is deliverable in 2014-15. The reason is if we review the 3-year plan and also the draft, the 2014-15, the annual plan, we can see original budget, 699K, was in the 3-year plan, the second year, 2014 and 15. Then during the staff established the draft, the 2014-15 annual plan, they deferred 1 year. But through the public consultation, the Richton Wigan Community Board, to have make the submission, and also Horsewell Resident Association, particular concern if the 1 year deferment will make a serious, the traffic congestion, safety, cyclist issue in this area. So I would like to emphasize and read out some of their particular concern. The first one is the massive and accelerated amount of development and subdivision on this area forces immediate upgrading of this roading link. And also, just recently, the government has committed to the 200 affordable housing units on Awatea Road adjacent to the motorway. So the subdivision, the likes of like Horsewell surrounding area, Broken Run, Platina Grove, the Twin, the Magnolia Estate, and of course, Vagrant Skies, and many others will all use the Avatia Road as the principal road link. And also the Horsewell Resident Association, on behalf of wider the ratepayer and the community, they emphasize the development contribution collected from this development obliges the council to provide suitable and safe roading network. Second, the main reason is the council has given provisional approval of the Meadowland subdivision in North, the Horsewell, as part of commitment to the exemplar housing project required under the land use recovery plan. This will create a direct link from this subdivision via Dunbar Road and over the motorway onto Avatia Road, which will aid hugely to traffic volume on this route. Third main point is Avatia Road is a key route linking between the Horsewell and Hornby. Many of the Horsewell residents use the shops at Hornby as their main non-Horsewell shopping center, especially post-earthquake. The event center, a moment in the Vagrant Air Force Museum, has become an important culture and entertainment center. So Horsewell people use Avatia Road to get to this venue. The fourth point is Avatia Road is the most direct route for cycling between Horsewell and Hornby, but it is a most intimidating route to cycle busy and getting busier with the minimal shoulder. The sixth point is the proposed project in the draft 2014-16, the item 925, will initiate improvement for cycling this route, and increasing the cycling more share is a study objective of the annual plan. So, sixth point is Stage 1 of the Southern Motorway has radically altered the volume and the routing requirement on Avatia Road. So it is now time to finish the links of the routing hierarchy to provide a safe and efficient network for all modes of transport, including the public transport. So this is the proposal regarding the Napula White Sports Complex and agriculture and the petrol showground will utilize the Avatia Road as the critical rounding link. So based on these eight crucial points, I recommend the mayor and all the councillors unanimous to support this amendment. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Could I invite Yanni Johansson? Would you like to address the library opening hours first, or would you like to address one of the others?
Yeah, sure. Library opening hours.
Yeah,
absolutely. Thank you. I think this is pretty straightforward. It's really whether we wish to continue with the status quo that we currently have for our libraries, and there are some service centres in there as well. And I just reflect on the fact that we have a huge amount of money that we've sunk into building libraries and providing service centre services. And it seems to me when you spend all that money on a physical asset, it actually makes no sense to shut it early. You actually, I think, waste the ability of maximising your capital investment by limiting community access. So I think it's really important, based on the submissions that we've heard, based on the fact that we know people really value our libraries, they value the operating hours. In fact, if we had more money, I'd love to recommend places like Aranui were extended to open on a Sunday. But I am conscious of the financial situation we're in. So for the sake of $94,000, and I note that maybe there's ways of doing it more efficiently, but hopefully staff can explore that, as we've seen with the new Civic building opening from 8 a.m. in the morning from 8:30, I think it's really important that we keep our libraries open, particularly when we've lost so many libraries in terms of some communities. So having greater access, or at least maintaining the status quo of access, I think is really important for our community's wellbeing. And I think for the small amount of money that we save, I don't think it's worth it. I think it's much better to maximise our capital investment by maintaining our status quo. So we know with the earthquake that people's lives have become a lot more challenging. We know that often what used to take 10 minutes or 20 minutes to go from one side of the city to the other actually takes a lot longer because of roadworks, because of a whole myriad of factors. And I think rightfully so, this council has recognised that with recreation and sports centres, and I'm asking you to please do that for the libraries as well. These are important community facilities, and I do not believe we should be reducing access at this moment. Thank you.
Thank you. What else we got? Do you want to address the seeking an urgent report on the alignment of skirt works and the accessible transport plan as well? I mean, I've... well, we've suspended standing orders. I think that there's general agreement that we need to resolve in favour of that, but we'll, when we get to back into the formal part of the meeting, we'll vote on it. Yeah? Yeah, I know, but we've suspended standing orders, so we want to get back into the formality of the meeting to do that.
To the next one. Okay, so it's kind of hard to know where to start with the horizontal infrastructure and the skirt money, but what I can tell you is we're proposing to defer funding. If you take page 95, ST Suburban Master Plan Ferry Road, 1.5 million that we're taking off budget this year coming, and we're deferring for another year out. It's really hard for me as a local councillor to drive up and down Ferry Road through where Skirt are doing works in areas where we've got a master plan and look at what's being put back. They're putting back the same infrastructure, the same curb line, the same thing that we had as of September 4th. So we're just putting back what we had, despite the fact that we've got a master plan and a community aspiration to do something different, to get a better environmental outcome, to get more amenity for our local communities in areas that pre-earthquake weren't working. And if you take Ferry Road, there's a combination of reasons why that hasn't worked, least of which is the district plan, not looking at cumulative effects, simply allowing consents for individual developments. You add them all together, you get a road that's a minor arterial, carrying major arterial traffic with very poor pedestrian and cycling and public amenity. And so it makes no sense, and given our financial situation, that we defer funding for projects that Skirt are currently working on. The reason we get told that Skirt can't do anything different is because they don't have the funding. But I can't understand why we think it's acceptable to have all these aspirations through either the central city, through our master plans, through our cycleways, that we would come back and do after Skirt have put back what is already there. It makes no sense. It is totally illogical. And given our financial constraint, I simply do not believe we will be able to afford to dig up the same piece of road 3 or 4, or possibly worst case scenario, 5 times. So this has been a thing that has repeatedly been raised over the last year. There are requests for reports around aligning Skirt with our Natural Environment Recovery Program. We have actually, aside from this process, without any public consultation, agreed to a whole bunch of changes around the accessible transport in regards to the central city. So $22 million being spent on Manchester Street without any consideration for what the community aspirations are. So I think it's time that we actually said, and I would love just to actually align the renewals budget with the Skirt program today, but we actually don't have that information. We don't have a list of the renewals, we don't have a list of the repairs, we don't have a list of what Skirt are doing aligned to our accessible city plan that the government have put on us, and aligned with our master plans. And I think the sooner we get that information, the more clever and more economic we can be with the spending we need to spend on our horizontal infrastructure. So I urge you to support this. It is critically important. Every week that goes past is another probably $1 million lost. $1 million that we don't have, that we're spending putting back what was there before, rather than putting back what we'd want to do if we were going to be a modern, dynamic, environmentally sustainable city. So the choice is yours or ours. We have to make a call at some point. It's urgent. We're wasting money as we speak, as we sit here. For example, I've heard that the Manchester Street project doesn't include stormwater in an area that's been flooding. So, you know, getting alignment with the Natural Environment Recovery Program, the Land Drainage Recovery Program, and the Accessible City, and the master plans, and the cycleways means we can do more for less, and we can actually have a better outcome for our community. So I urge you to support this.
Thank you, Councillor Johansson. Look, the last one, I don't propose that we deal with the outsourcing of Pioneer Early Learning Centre in this context because, you know, that is the subject of my motion. So you can just oppose that. So that's a simple debate on the motion as it stands. But the Metro Sports Facility deferring funding for 2 years by $75 million. You know, if you want to speak to it, then I would want you to do that now. The advice that we've had is that it makes no difference to the budget under consideration because it wouldn't impact on our financial year because it is not in it's not in the annual budget for the 2014-2015 year. So deferring funding for 2 years makes no impact on the annual plan as it stands. And I think that's the advice that I've received on it. So if you still want to speak to it, I'm not of a mind to, you know, sort of close down if you want to make a statement in relation to that one, but I think I would rule it out of order in terms of the plan, but I don't want to be seen to be shutting you down, if you see what I mean.
Yeah, so I guess the question I have is, given that we're planning to spend $80 million next year, are we confident we're going to spend that money?
Sorry, it's in the financial budget for this year, which ends on Monday.
No,
so
the $80 million is proposed in our draft plan to be spent next year.
But your resolution is to defer funding for 2 years.
That's right. So what staff have given us is a table, and I asked them to check why we'd need to spend the money. So you will have seen an amended table with the anchor projects and the costs associated. We do have, as I understand it, we've spent about $3 million on the Metro Sports facilities to date, and we've got $31.8 million from our insurer sitting in our account somewhere. So that's money that is income that's come in. So we've got about $28 million, $29 million that's sitting there, not currently going to anything. So I guess the question is, can that money be spent on other things? And the question is, how realistic is it, the table that we've been given that the government have changed the time frame for the Metro Sports to the final quarter of 2017? I don't understand why we'd be spending $50 million next year. And I don't understand why we'd actually even be spending $16 million this year in 14-15. It
doesn't look to me like we are. So
this is the table.
Yeah, I've got that there. It doesn't read that way.
So 15-16 Metro Sports Facility, $50 million on budget.
Yeah, but we're not dealing with the 15-16 budget.
We're
dealing with the 14-15 budget.
The easiest way for me to talk to this without getting into the details would be to refer to the 3-year plan financial strategy, of which, you know, the annual budget is an amendment in certain areas, and the financial strategy, volume 1, pages round about 51 is a good look at it. It shows the way in which the response and recovery costs and council borrowing work in tandem, and that's the point we were working to yesterday, discussing how the earthquake rebuild area is funded by aspects that don't impact upon your rates, so they don't have to be discussed as part of the annual budget. And if we go to, and this will be for reference post this meeting obviously, page 58 of that 3-year plan, the earthquake response and recovery costs consisting of total costs of 4.431 billion, net cost to council of 1.6 billion. The way in which those sources come, there's external sources of funds being the government subsidies, which as we all know are estimated at that 1.8 billion, and insurance proceeds of 1,004 million or 1.004 billion. So those aspects obviously go to the funding aspects, and as we know, the insurance proceeds have not turned up in the time frame that they were expected. The council share is funded by deferral of 943 million of capital renewals over 20 years, and the increased rates revenue from the special earthquake charge from 16-17, which works out at 32.8 million per annum. So I think that's the context that I was looking to get across yesterday, and it's in the 3-year plan, and it's why the aspects of change with respect to earthquake response and recovery costs are not facing us in front of the rates decisions for the annual budget.
So no, this resolution, if I were to accept this resolution, it wouldn't make any difference to the rates?
That would be my...
So can I just ask then, if we've got $29 million of insurance sitting in the bank, like that's what we've told, payment received on claims, Metro Sports Facility, 31.8 million, right? So that's money sitting somewhere. So if we're doing nothing with that money for, and if you look here, we've only got 16.3 million. The suggestion is that we carry that over to 14-15. So you've actually got some money that's sitting there generating interest, I presume. No?
We do not have money in the bank. We don't take the insurance proceeds and bank them. They go towards, as I've said, the earthquake response and recovery costs in total, and insurance proceeds overall. We were expecting earlier, and I think it would be a mistake to take particular insurance receipts at a point in time on one aspect and then apply them. So I'd like to keep it at the high level in terms of what we're trying to achieve and what the financial strategy in the 3-year plan was set out to do, which is around no impact on rates from the earthquake response and recovery costs.
It's just, okay. I think we need to have at some point a really good conversation about the timing of the anchor projects and how our budget is aligned. And if you don't want to do it as part of this process, which I find quite hard to understand why we wouldn't, because we're setting the budget, and it's the same for the cycleways. If we can only talk about this year, then we can't defer the cycleways to 8 years, and we can't bring it forward to 5 years. We can only talk about what we're doing this year.
Which is why we said in the cycleways that we've set a stretch target. We're going to bring it forward to 5 years, but we'll deal with that in the long-term plan. That's where that conversation belongs. And so, it probably was, I think, unfortunate that it went out to 8 years in this planning process. So we're going to bring it back to 5 years, but we'll deal with it where we have to deal with it, which is the long-term plan. Right. So I'm going to rule that amendment out of order, and now seek to resolve to go back into the formality of the council meeting, and then we can debate the whole issues.
Happy for you to do that, but can I just be really clear about understanding when we're ever going to have a conversation about what money we're spending, how much money we're spending on anchor projects, and when? I
said at the very beginning that on the 31st of July, we're going to be releasing the Cameron Partners report, and we are going to be talking about the way forward. Right, so that will include all of that, and we will be obviously discussing how that's going to be framed beforehand as a council.
And is it, I think you said at the start, but just so I'm clear, you envisage a public process around what decisions we make around that?
Absolutely.
Okay.
So I will move that we reinstate standing orders, and seconded by Phil Clearwater. I'll put the motion. All those in favour say aye. Those opposed say no. Carried. And now I would like to move that. Where are we?